when we learned, I mean, all up in the 80s, we were still learning, listening to Malcolm, learning about self-image psychology and all of that. That man grew fast. I mean, he was on a roll. Now, we show our honor to him and his evolution by us taking up. It's like if you have a professor, the good professor wants you to outdo them.
Right.
Yeah, a good coach, you know, they ran track too, they played, they want you to outdo them, the good ones. They want you to break their records. So a lot of people, I remember when I was down in Atlanta, I was talking years ago about Beyond Malcolm. And some of the people was real, not nasty about it, but they would hint, talking about Beyond Malcolm, and they would hint it and everything. I wouldn't respond because it takes too much of your time and gets y'all off base. And it was an insult. We have a group here that would go up to the grave of Malcolm all the time, every year. Well, February 21st, they go up, and you know, that was the day of his martyrdom. Okay, the thing about Malcolm X and the thing about Imam Khomeini and those people, it was the continuation of one revolution. There's one revolution. It's the human revolution. It's like, I used to think about Iranians, I'd like, yeah, I want to thank y'all for participating in our revolution. Because the more I get into their revolution, and I was speaking so much on these platforms, I'd be wanting to tell them, I sure want to thank y'all for doing our revolution for us. In other words, you notice the way we talk about it, it's not only Iranians, it's Chinese, what we get out of it. You know what I mean? I have a whole book on every group of people. It don't make no difference whether it was Fidel, whether it was Marcus Garvey, or all of those, Gandhi, all of those people added to the human progress. And each one of them can teach us something. But in the final analysis, we have to apply the best of all of that for now. That's our job right now. This is more complicated. In Malcolm's time, if you would have solved the race problem, home free, the economy was good, the air pollution was bad, getting bad, but it wasn't finished. You could still go out in the woods and breathe fresh air at 65, you know, stuff like that. So if we solve the race problem now, if you solve the race problem now, you ain't doing nothing. You ain't doing nothing. It's all right. If you solve the race problem, it hasn't, it's just one out of a zillion problems. So, in those days, Fred Hampton and all that was good with working with white people. They killed him right away. They killed him. We're going to have to work with every kind. In fact, we said decades ago that our closest allies would be tree huggers and people like that. Environmentalists. Because the race problem then was just, you know, it's important, but we got to solve this the whole thing now is messed up. So that's what Malcolm have to do with the revolution and evolution. And remember, all of the people draw stuff from everybody. Don't be just the Long March, man. That was epic. And Iran, 8 years of fighting that was World War III, right there. The whole world was on one side, and they was all against Iran. That's beyond, that has never happened. Especially, it would have to be modern times, with modern communication, with modern political systems. The whole UN and everybody, all the Arab states, everybody was against Iran, and they survived. That's deep. That's real deep. And when I was looking at it, I knew it. I was telling them, they didn't know even now. Why do you think when we talk to Iran, the first thing we say, we want to thank the Iranian people and the Islamic Revolution. We want to, because right now, look at them now. They're still rolling right along. They were having it bad here and they are still here. The whole United States has unloaded on them and prevents anyone else from helping them. Everybody know they're doing wrong. Russia know they're doing wrong. China know they're doing wrong. But all of them, they signed the agreement. But they done stumbled around for years. Oh, we're going to try to do this. We're going to sneak a little. Yeah, they sneak a little, but they're not doing their part. So, the other thing is why we keep that thing like it is. The Iranian brother, who's a tattletale, and his helper, they started that. We just said, you know, we'll update it when we get ready, when we think it's necessary. But right now, we leave it just like it is. Muslims, folk, that's whatever it is. Yeah, it's okay. Remember, we're on a time schedule that it appears that Allah is managing that schedule, here and everywhere, because everything is happening at just the right time. I don't know if everybody else noticed that, but everything is happening at the right time. If any intersecting with any idea or reality at any other time to just lead us off our course just a little bit, we wouldn't be here right now. I think where we are right now, at our stage of development, is where we're supposed to be. That's what I think. Okay, any more questions or comments?
Actually, there's one more.
Yeah.
This was someone that reached out. Is that technically you covered it during the entire course of the lecture, but he was asking like, Assalamu alaikum, what are the aims and objectives of this base? He says page or group, but really it's our organization, and we have about 5 kind of items that 5 or 6 or so that we hit every single lecture. But if you could just briefly kind of summarize,
okay,
the direction we're heading in, what we
well, first of all, we get our name As-Sabiqun from As-Sabiqun al-Awwalun min al-Muhajirin wal-Ansar wal-Tabi'in. So, the vanguard of Islam. As-Sabiqun al-Awwalun. Those are the first rank in Islam. Sabiq or Sabaqa means to win in a race. It means to go out first, right? It means to be premeditated in your actions. So a premeditated action, it means also to anticipate what needs to be done. In the Quran, As-Sabiqun referred the Mufassirs hint at the people that accepted Islam before Badr. Badr was 18 months or so after the Hijrah. Before Badr, when you accepted Islam, it was blood, sweat, and tears. You wasn't, you wasn't going to get the prize or anything. You was going to get oppressed. after the Battle of Badr, and it was 313 Muslims whooped over 1,000 others, Quraysh, and it looked like, hey, wait a minute, this thing might be around a while. So As-Sabiqun and Tafsir usually refer to people that accepted Islam in the early years. But that's not a rule, that's just the way many people accept it. Okay, so As-Sabiqun are the people that go out front, and there's two terms that are used. Those who lead the way and those who show the way. As-Sabiqun might come out and do, As-Sabiqun do exactly what we did during the last phase. We showed the people everything, all our literature, all the work we did was exactly what was needed to be done. We did that, okay? How they react to it is their business, but we did our part. See, As-Sabiqun are not required to, their job is to anticipate what should happen and premeditatively go out and do it. What should be done. They say, the dictionary, it says things like, they say they couldn't be stopped, or they said something without knowing why, or you know what I mean. So As-Sabiqun, to get back to the specific definition, are those who go out first. As-Sabiqun al-Awwalun, those are the people who go out first. They do the job, and they take care of all the business, and they get it done. We did that before in the last phase. We're in a new phase. That's where we're headed right now. That's why we talk about organization over mobilization. Because organization means that you put first of all, you have certain goals and you put the pieces in place and the job description and all that lead in a certain way. Okay, right now, the job of As-Sabiqun is related to Islam and Muslims, but it has global implications. It has global implications because we're in a global situation. And we have to do the best we can to, let's say, show the way. And we use the word lead the way, the second meaning, carefully. Because if we show the way, it's the same as what we did before. We show the way what you got to do. We always piped in on unity. We always piped in on discipline. We always did things without asking for anything in return. We always did that. And we always were more giving than we are going out trying to receive, where other people may be different in that. So that's what we did. As-Sabiqun, we came out and we did our job. Some examples: revelation and revolution. Revelation, especially at that time. If you look at Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, he had technically a revolution, but it was based on revelation. He did all the things. They had their long march, they run around and right? They did all of that. They did all of that. But it was based on revelation. So some of the, if you look at all the prophets and people of the past, all of them were in their own way revolutionaries. They came, who did they have to go up against? 90% of the time they had to go up against the boss man of their day, right? But they did it based on revelation. Okay, now we have a two-phase project. Our project of As-Sabiqun is for the Muslims. We want them to live up to the Quranic expectations, and we want them to play a major part in their own evolution. In other words, we want in our Islamic countries, let's call it Islam light. Islam, well, the rules and guidelines of Islam, but you're not standing there like in Saudi Arabia. They beat you if you don't pray almost, or they make you bad. It's ridiculous. I mean, you know, okay. Now also the transition. We always say that we want to influence the direction of change. We don't want to make nobody do nothing. Influence the direction of change means As-Sabiqun want to influence the direction of change and be an integral part of the Earth Liberation Movement. We say that we want to free the Earth from the parasite known as a human being. Where the parasite has gotten control, the parasite is out to destroy the host. So the flea has gotten so big that he's ready to devour or destroy the dog. Or they've been outnumbered so much that the dog is capable of, because of the host has become weaker. As far as revelation is concerned, Allah, we talked about it the other day, Allah sent the Quran. He created the earth with balance. It has balance. That's what Mizan is all about. So that's what, if you want to find out what the goals are, the goals will be, for instance, right here in the Masjid. They're the same as what they've always been. And they will be reflected in a big way in this first stage. Masjid, school, business, living close together. When we get our $100 million, 50, whatever it is, in California, we're going to build houses on these lots so we can be close to the Masjid for prayer and everything that we want to do. Eventually, we will reopen schools, because if you don't teach the children how to, the last school we had, it was fine, but it wasn't. The kids was going here, they all go to the biggest schools around. They're all good graduates, everybody, you know, okay. So they did good. But they had a pledge that we will die for Islam, but then I don't know if they headed in that direction. Okay, that's okay. Islam is our life and all that stuff. That's good. That's basically where we want to go. We want to be part of the one that show the way during this period, if necessary. And it might, I'm sure it might come to that we would get so organized and so disciplined that it would need an organization to lead the way. And in human history, that comes up almost all the time. It's not ad hoc, you know. There's usually a disciplined group, a leadership, but a group that's not common, it would be uncommon. It would be more like the Sahaba. See, other organizations, whether it's the Mafia or whether it's the FLN, all the liberation movements, they had rules that they might as well have been communists or killers. If you broke a rule, they would say, they didn't have no forgiveness. The guy said, man, I just wanted to get a refrigerator. He didn't have, we're going to put you in a refrigerator and freeze you to death. That's what we're going to do. You know, we don't want to have anything to do with that type. So,
Your shirt actually says what you're.
right, let that rise out of you.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all the questions, yeah.
Okay, I hope we answered the basic questions for today, and we thank y'all very much, and,
Can I ask y'all for 2 minutes?
sure, yeah.
2 minutes, yeah, you were talking about Malcolm, right? I made this tape, this already on Facebook, but I think I did that a month ago.
Good, good.
This